Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Hump Day, Wednesday, December 13th of 2023. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful week so far. And let's go ahead and hop into the astrological transits for today so you can be better prepared to navigate these celestial energies. Well, Mercury is now retrograde. That's right, Mercury is retrograded here at 8 degrees of Capricorn, where it will stay retrograde until it goes direct on New Year's Day. Around the same time that Jupiter will be going direct as well. They go direct on back-to-back days within like 8 hours of each other, essentially. So yeah, we got a Mercury retrograde here in Capricorn at 8 degrees. This 8 degrees is very important. It's triggering a spot that has been triggered multiple times over the last 3 years. And I will be showing you guys exactly how it's been triggered. But don't be afraid of this Mercury retrograde. You know, I may make another video on this, going a little bit more in depth. But this is what we're about to really see. We're about to see some disclosures, a lot of uncovering when it comes to these structures in our life, when it comes to these Capricornian structures in our life. We're about to really start to see some things really come to the surface. And we have to, this is going to be like, are you prepared for what's coming? This Mercury retrograde is really going to be preparing us for 2024. It's going to be, we're about to see some very weird stories over the next month, even though, like I said, like leading up to the new year, like especially for the next few weeks, we're about to see some weird stuff. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. That moon is going to, of course, come into Capricorn today and get really close to Mercury. I don't know if it'll quite conjunct it, but it's rather close. The square between the Sun and Neptune are building up as well. So you got that going on. And let's see. Let me move this forward to there you go. So yeah, we're going to see that moon, of course, come into Capricorn as well. Now Saturn's being the dispositor of this moon and this Mercury and this Pluto. So remember, moon doesn't really like to be in Cap. Now it's going to be with a Mercury that's going to be retrograde. So, and is Mercury still out of bounds? Moon and Mercury are out of bounds. So you have a Mercury retrograde that's out of bounds, and you have a moon that's out of bounds. So emotionally, it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. We're going to be feeling way out there, right? Especially with Capricorn. This can be like feeling ostracized, feeling like maybe we just simply don't belong, or we don't fit in with the structure of society right now. Our society is collapsing and stuff around us. That's what at least it seems like. Mercury out of bounds and retrograde in Capricorn. You bet your ass there's going to be some off the wall, way out there, hyperbolic stuff that's going to be communicated. And we have to have the wherewithal to be able to navigate this without getting too sucked in, without feeding too much into the propaganda, right? So you're going to see, of course, as the day progresses, of course, that moon, it does sextile over to Saturn at the very least. There's an opportunity right there to be able to try and see through some of the deception, but or at least feel our way through the deception. But really what this comes down to is that because that moon is out of bounds and it makes that sextile over to Saturn, we have to use our intuition and we have to trust source. But that could be a little weird and difficult during this time. Like I said, I don't think this Mercury retrograde is going to be bad. I think it's going to give you a great opportunity to really recalibrate and to really see, okay, how can I really step up to the plate? What can I do to grow up a little bit, adult a little bit, and actually stand up to the challenge? Because you're going to see a lot of people in positions of power, and whether the power is money or simply influence, you're going to see them start to really crank it up. And when I mean by crank it up, they're going to really try to just crank up the anesthesia. They're going to really try to crank up and try to convince you to adopt their belief. But we just are coming off this new moon in Sag, which is all about whether or not you believe in the quality of the work that you do, the light work that you bring to the table, whether or not you really believe in that, and also just like clearing out old beliefs that no longer serve you. You would think that that would be more of a full moon thing because it's about releases. No. And that's the thing. Whenever you're planting new seeds, you do have to clear the field, right? So like this, but this new moon in Sag, this was more of a clearing new moon. This was a new moon where it's like, okay, what are the beliefs that are working? What are the beliefs that aren't working? What are the things that we just have to like finally put to rest, as Mercury is going to retrograde all the way back to, I think it's going to be like 23 degrees of Sag, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Hold on. Let me find out exactly. I want to say it's like 22 degrees of Sag, right? So the sun is almost on that spot today, which is pretty interesting, you know. In fact, coming into tomorrow, we're going to see the sun actually hit the degree that Mercury is going to station direct at. And of course, almost as soon as the sun hits that 22 degree, the moon is going to be conjuncting Mercury. Now, this is 12:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So on the West Coast, you know, you'll see this, you know, during like your late evening, essentially. Now, I want to get back to this Mercury that is retrograde, like I said, retrograded at 8 degrees. This 8 degrees is very important for multiple reasons. Now, if you know anything about astrology, you know that when it comes to Mercury, whatever degree that it retrogrades at is the degree that it stationed direct during its last retrograde in that sign. So the last time that Mercury was in Capricorn and it retrograded, it actually stationed direct at 8 degrees. I will go ahead and show you guys that. So this was the last time, which was earlier this year, on January 18th, right? So this is when Mercury stationed direct at 8 degrees of Capricorn. Now, the moon was in Sag during that time. We had the sun on top of Pluto during that time, right? And the nodes were still in Taurus and Scorpio, respectively, right? So, and then, of course, you have this quincunx that this Mercury was making over to Mars in Gemini at that time. So think back to the beginning part of this year. I think it's interesting how we started the year with this, and now we're ending the year with Mercury around these degrees, right? So yeah, think back to the beginning of the year with that Sun and Pluto at that 28 degrees of Capricorn. And think back to like where you were at that time. It's funny how fast this year went by. It's funny how fast this year went by. But this was a pretty critical moment. Now, the other thing about this 8 degrees that's very important too is January 12th, 2020. Probably one of the most intense days in recent astrological history. Why? Because we had Sun, Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury all conjunct in Capricorn within several degrees of each other. And we had Jupiter at 9 degrees of Capricorn on top of the South Node in Capricorn at 8 degrees. Where Mercury just retrograded at. Massive. Huge. This was a massive fucking transit, right? You don't see Saturn and Pluto conjunct in the same sign like this, let alone with the Sun and Mercury. This is one of those once in a lifetime aspects that happens. And what was going on around this time? We didn't know what was coming. We didn't know the freaking crazy shit that we were going to be dealing with for the next 2.5 to 3 years on this date. We didn't know. But this was some intense, crazy shit, right? That happened that time. Just saying. Think back to January 12, 2020. Where were you? What were you doing, right? Me, I was working at a restaurant, and I was kind of feeling like, because I had been there for a few years, I was kind of feeling like I didn't really want to work there anymore, to be fair. And yeah, when the pandemic hit, I ended up leaving there, ended up working at a CBD store for 3 years, right? But did any of us know what was coming during that time? And now you're telling me that Mercury is just stationed retrograded at 8 degrees of Capricorn, where the South Node was? What do you think this Mercury is going to be uncovering? The South Node, in many ways, is like this collective subconscious energy, if you will, right? So all of this energy we're about to start processing. And what's interesting, too, is that the last time that Mercury retrograded in Capricorn and stationed direct at 8 degrees, it stationed retrograde at 24 degrees of Capricorn. So it's like right there. It's like right there. That's that missing that 1 degree. That's that kind of that missing link where it's like there's a splinter in our mind trying to figure out what the fuck happened over the last 3 years and why do things just seem slightly off, amiss, right? It's like we just slightly missed the mark with this day. Ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. Right? So if you think for a moment that a lot of these structures in our life that we have taken for granted, a lot of the structures in our life that we think are always going to be there, a lot of these organizations, a lot of these groups, right? A lot of these power structures, a lot of this stuff, if you think for a moment that these things are just going to just tick-tock along and keep on existing the way that they're existing, you have another thing coming. And you're not going to get a lot of people talking about this. There's not a lot of astrologers talking about this. I know the Leo King is. I know the Peace Dealer is. Like, I know Dolo is. Like, there's not a lot of people talking about this stuff. Why? Because it's probably going to scare a lot of people, to be fair. Because there's we're losing this sense of comfort that things are always just going to look this way. It came to me last night. I was channeling. A thought came to me how things are about to be decentralized. For real. Right now we have a lot of centralization of powers and services. Things are about to be decentralized for real, especially when it comes to service, especially when it comes to services, especially when that South Node comes into Virgo. Decentralization, like city. A lot of these things are about to be decentralized. And the thing is that we've taken these things for granted. We live during an interesting time where we could just pop on our phone and click a few buttons and have some food delivered to us within 20 to 30 minutes. That's probably not going to exist in the next 10 to 15 years. Or at the very least, it will exist, but it'll be like 20 of them or 30 of them, or it'll be local, right? But a lot of these structures are about to be seriously decentralized, right? Also, you got to think about this, since Capricorn is, in many ways, it rules jobs, career. The Mercury retrograde here, a lot of people are going to be rethinking their career. A lot of people are going to be rethinking what they do for work and for a job and their legacy. People are going to be rethinking their legacy. And the fact that it's going to retrograde back into Sag, which is not only are they going to be rethinking their career and their legacy, it's not just going to be in that, because the last time it was all in Capricorn. Now we got Capricorn and Sagittarius. So people are really going to be going back and recalibrating their beliefs and how that correlates and builds into their legacy. The philosophy of businesses are about to change. The philosophies of these larger corporations are about to change and shift. Some for the better, and some are going to double down and become even more oppressive and even more just forcing you to do what they want you to do, I guess. Things are seriously about to be decentralized. And some people are not going to know what to do about it, because there's a level of self-reliance that is going to be needed going into the next decade, 2 decades. Especially after 2024, there's going to be a level of self-reliance that's going to be needed. Self-reliance and connecting with people, because you're going to need to know people that know how to do things. But if you're just constantly relying on just going on your phone to try and fix something like that or whatever, like, you're going to actually have to know people in the next decade, which is why you can't just be super introverted. That's why they're trying to get everyone in pods and hooked up to computers and just living in a fantasy world and stuff like that. And then have like fucking IVs attached to them while they waste away there and shit. But if we're really going to build this new world, we actually have to get out there and meet people. I know that's scary. I know that's very frightening. I know it's very frightening. But I'm telling you, you're already starting to see these big box stores closing left and right. The mom and pop shops are going to come back, but it's going to go through a decentralization. COVID did kill a lot of the mom and pop shops. It did, but they will come back, and it'll be double, triple what we see now. And a lot of these things, like I said, that we've taken for granted, a lot of these things that are already broken, like healthcare. Oh my gosh, the South Node in Virgo is going to be crazy. Y'all think the South Node in Libra is already kind of nuts? Wait till the South Node in Virgo. That's the one that I'm looking at. That's the one that's circled for me. I'm just sitting here like, yo, what the fuck is going to happen in South Node in Virgo? You're talking like the whole medical system going through a major upheaval. You're talking like holistic plant medicine having a bit of a rise, but also dealing with its fair share of challenges with the North Node going into Pisces too. There's going to be some weird ass shit going on with the South Node hits Virgo. But I'm just saying that astrology is math, it's geometry, it's science, and there are no coincidences. So when you have a major day like January 12, 2020, with a major once-in-a-lifetime conjunction of the Sun, Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury in Capricorn, while South Node is at 8 degrees, the fact that we have a Mercury that's retrograding at that spot today is kind of a big deal. And yes, I know Pluto moves slow, but at the beginning of the year, like I showed, hold on, 2828. What are the odds? What are the odds, right? So, yeah. I don't know if I really explained this one very well, but I hope that you guys can just simply see, just based off of the fact that we're getting this 8-degree mark triggered again, that there's something there. That there's definitely something there. Let's look up the Sabian symbol for it. Might as well, right? So know the Sabian symbols, it typically what it does is that come on. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, so you see that I did Capricorn 8 degrees. You can look it up, and it does go to Capricorn 9, but that's okay. An angel comes carrying a harp. This degree shows being able to care for others, being there when they need it. It also shows that angels will come when you call on them, when you are most in need yourself. You may be able to tune in and radiate harmony around you, inspiring confidence and joy. These pictures care. This pictures care, generosity, and a fulfilled selfhood. Inspiring people to do their best can bring rewards to all concerned. The trick with this degree can be sorting out whether to trust the tune that others sometimes play. Following someone for the wrong reasons can just lead you astray. Messages of peace from the other side, being in tune spiritually, elevated views of humanity, creating a harmony, pulling on heartstrings, redemption, gurus, revelations, having a holier-than-thou attitude, losing oneself in fantasy, tricking people with soothing words that mean nothing, harping on about things, the Pied Piper. If that does not fucking, explain this moment in this degree, I don't know what does, y'all. Being in tune spiritually, instilling that confidence, having fulfilled selfhood, right? Having an elevated view of humanity, not this fucking depreciated view of humanity that a lot of people have right now. Redemption. But then you also see the opposite, the holier than thou attitude. People saying, oh my God, especially Black people right now. I'm seeing so many Black people that are just, it's like Black people just feel like they have a free pass to be racist right now. And it honestly sickens me. I don't understand that. You see it in so many places where Black people are just are just giving they just feel like they have this free pass to be racist to white people, and it's so sickening. You have religious people going after each other and stuff like that too, and it's having this holier than thou attitude, they're losing themselves in a fantasy. You're tricking people with these soothing words that mean nothing. Golly, isn't that the radical left right now? And the radical right, but most certainly the radical left. Because at least, with the radical right, it's a little bit harsher. With the radical left, it's very soothing words that sound good, but they actually don't mean shit. And now people are starting to wake the fuck up. Your angels are here. Reach out to them. You can, once you start to radiate that harmony from within, you'll be able to inspire, like I said, that confidence and joy in those around you. But it comes from being fulfilled in yourself, the fulfilled selfhood. We got to remember, Chiron is in Aries. A lot of people have issues with selfhood. A lot of people are simply having issues with being human. Just by being human. It's the wounded healer, though. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all fuck up from time to time. But some people are just trying to desperately escape being a human by combining themselves with experimental fucking RNA gene-altering technologies and hooking themselves up to fucking computers and shit and, trying to become cyborgs or some weird transhumanist shit, right? But we all have angels, we all have guides, and that is what's important. When we can be in tune spiritually and elevate these views of humanity, we can actually seriously elevate humanity. Let's get into the cards. All right, let's see what we got here. You have the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles. We got the Dragon Hoarder here, hoarding these pentacles right here. We have to know what to hold on to value-wise and what not to hold on to. Because some of those things that we feel like we're holding on to value-wise, they're actually depreciating our energy, depreciating. It can't really depreciate your value because your value was always there. Your value was something that you never lost due to the perception of losing. You have to kind of go back, and usually something happens like in your childhood, right, that starts to kind of veer you off and have you not see the true value that you were born with, that God gave you and stuff. But it's all these other things that we hold on into our life that we think is going to sustain us and fulfill us, when really those things are just fluff, right? We also have the Ten of Wands. Yeah, this is like this person's carrying up this entire world on her back. We have to learn, what it is that we can carry and what it is that, we can finally let go of. The Ten of Wands doesn't mean that you have to drop everything. You just got to drop the things that don't make sense anymore. If it doesn't make sense anymore, it's okay to drop it. Just because the rest of the world values that thing, does that mean that you have to follow it? Just because your friends and your family may value that thing or whatever it is, does that mean that you have to? If your knees are like buckling, and if it's not worth carrying that load, because you can't just drop every single load. You got to build some shit too, right? But if it's not worth carrying that load, if that's what your intuition is telling you, then drop it. We have it followed by, look at that, the Ten of Pentacles. That is the true value. It's always there. You were born with it. But you're not going to be able to get to this until you drop the fluff, until you drop the things that need to be dropped, so you can carry what really matters. The reason why you came here, how you're an infinite spark of the divine, and your true purpose that was instilled within you, that you agreed to when you came down here and incarnated, that God gave you. That is what you were meant to carry. And you have been carrying. Maybe you just forgot. Maybe you veered off the path, and we all do it from time to time. The truth of the matter is that you were born with that value. So don't let this world tell you anything else. That is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you'd like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful hump day, and I'll see y'all on the next astrology forecast. Peace.